So in this video, we will be creating the homepage for an e-commerce website using the product data that we already have. So what I have here is I have created four different folders inside the public directory where inside HTML, the index.html is our main homepage file. And looking at the index.js file, what we have here is just an API that returns the homepage that is index.html, which is serving the root path, right? And the second API is basically storing all our product data inside this endpoint. Okay, so let's just view it. Uh, let's look at this. So let's go to localhost 5000 and go to API v1 product data. And what we have here is 16 different products, which we will be using to create the homepage. All right. And one thing to keep in mind is that we are not yet using a database to store our data. Rather, we're using this data.js file where we are exporting this array of objects. So we will be persisting this data in the future videos using MongoDB. But for now, we're just using the static 16 products. All right. So now let's just view the homepage as it is. Where I have not added any JavaScript yet. So this is what the basic layout for the homepage looks like. And this is plain HTML and CSS. And what I plan to do is I plan to create two rows of elements where for the first row, I will be displaying 7 different products right here. And for the second row too, I will be displaying 7 different products, which will be occupying this space, right? So for that, I have created two div tags already. It's right here. So for the first row of products, I have used this div tag with the first row class. And then for the second row, I've used another div tag. All right, now looking at the main JavaScript file, what we are doing here is we are calling the fetch data function. And what we have inside the fetch data is a try and catch block to handle any exceptions or any errors that we face, right? It is always recommended to handle errors which we have not yet done in our application. This is just a basic try catch block, right? And what I have done here is I am fetching the data from this endpoint, which just returns the whole array of objects. And then, as always, we have to convert it into JSON to use the object data, and I'm storing it inside the item data variable. Now, for the first row, what I will do is I'm running this for loop 7 times to create 7 different elements for the first row, right? So uh, I'm looping this for 7 different times, and for each loop, I am creating the div element with different data and different image, right? So what we are doing is we are creating a new div and what contain so we are using the query selector to select the first row. Okay, so what we will be doing is since this is the parent element, we will be adding the new create div tags inside this parent element, right? So for that basic JavaScript, we have to use the append or prepend method, which I'll show you the difference between append and prepend later on. But the thing to note is contain is the parent element of this new div. So we are just appending it inside the contain, inside the first row, right? Now, what we are doing is we are setting an attribute for this new div. This is all for the CSS part, okay? So this is not that important right here. And this onClick function just redirects the uh, element. If clicked, it redirects the element to this route, which for now I have not created. So let's not look at it. So I'll just comment it out. Now, the main part is that inside the new div, I have used the inner.html JavaScript method. And what I am doing here is creating three different div tags, one for the image, one for the text, and one for another text, right? Which shows the item price and status. So this basically what I am using here is I am using the I value to iterate through my array as well. So whenever I use item data and this basically means the when I zero, it basically means the first element of the array of objects. Okay. And when it runs for 7 different times, i's value changes from 0 till 7, meaning that it'll give me the image, name, status, and price for 7 different objects. Okay, so let's just view it. Uh, let's just view the first row and see what it looks like. So when I refresh it, you can see that I have 7 div elements with 7 different object data. That is really, really cool. And to demonstrate what prepend does, so look how I have iPhone, and because since iPhone is the first object data in our area of objects, which is why it is being displayed at first. And whenever I changed it to prepend, what it'll do is last element is added in the beginning of our new first row of products, right? So I'll just change it to append. And even for the second row of products, we are doing the same thing, but now we are iterating from, I think seven, no, from 8 to 15, or like 8 to 14, basically. So we are displaying 14 different products here, leaving out two. But now what it does is now whenever I use item data and this refers to the elements, the eighth, ninth, and the coming element, right, inside the array of objects. And uh, if I have to look at it, you can see another row of 7 different products. Okay, so this is not that tough. What we're just doing is fetching the data, storing it inside item data, and we are using a for loop and using the I value to go through all of our array objects too. And for every different element that we create or every different div tag that we create, we are using a different object data, and using the .image, .name, .status, we can access its properties, right? We can access the object's properties. That is what we did in our previous video. So it is that simple to fetch data and display it right here. Now, in our upcoming videos, what I will be doing is implementing this search feature, for which we have already done a video on query string parameters. So I'll be using the same thing in this case. And another thing that I'll be using is that whenever I click on this, like how we commented this out, right? This line out. So whenever I click on the element, I will be redirected to this product/product ID route, where I will be handling the data using route parameters as well as using the fetch function, which we'll be doing in the next videos. All right.